Welcome to the GLAC Studios oil painting tutorial. This is Gomati Sivasankaran. We are in class 5 of the Vidya Lakshmi oil painting. And this is one of the 8 forms of Lakshmi avatars that are known for all the positive propensities of life. And we are celebrating and learning how to work on Vidya Lakshmi. Vidya Lakshmi refers to the Vidya refers to knowledge. So Vidya Lakshmi refers to the goddess of knowledge. So this painting has gone through the first layer, which was the wash, which we did in the basics. And then the second layer was about blocking and filling. But before that, we did plan and execute the idea on the canvas. And then we did the blocking and filling, and we have started with the layer 3 in the previous lesson. And that's where we began adding a little bit of what is called light versus dark, and also have started redefining or defining contours a little bit, some details a little bit, and such. So we're working on that. We will continue that in this session as well. In this session, we focus more on what is the costume that she's wearing, and also the jewellery and such. So we will begin with a lighter color tonality, which is white. Essentially, I have titanium white, and I am not totally convinced to using that white all the time. So I'm going to add certain things to the white. Now, she is dressed in white. She's going to be seated on a white lotus. But how can we make a difference between those two whites? The white I would like to have is kind of golden white, so I would like a little bit of yellow also added. So I'll go with the titanium white, and I add a little bit of primary yellow, yellow ochre, very, very mildly. So the tonality is just not totally this kind of white. And when it comes to the white flower, I would add a tiny bit of purple or crimson, depending upon where I want it, to just refine some edges instead of just having only white there. So that's the plan. Let's just get ahead with that. Okay, so I'm just going to take some white. Brush number 4 round looks fine for me to work with right now. I'm going to take that, the white, and I will add a tiny bit of primary yellow. So it doesn't look totally in that, angle of white all the time. So for you on the camera, I think it will look white. It will not seem to have a difference. But when we take the high resolution images, that's when you will see that it's slightly, not the kind of white that we have been working on. I'm going to take primary yellow and add that ever so lightly, not too much. I don't want it to turn, on the lighter yellow side also. So that is a slight difference there. I want to keep that. And I'm going to use this white to work on her clothing. Yes. Fill that section. And the same way when we worked on the hands and her face, I did some correction. So I think I'll have to just check that it's the clothing is also in alignment with those corrections that I made. Yeah, looks like I need to correct it here as well. Yes. Okay, there you go. And you'll definitely ask right now, where is the, tonal difference in this? It looks flat still. So we are going to work on that as well in a short while, just like the baby did the face, the body. I'm going to add some tonality here. And okay, so this is looking definitely in the, in a way, it's so plain, it's so flat, it's just, flashing white for you. So we're going to take a bit of yellow ochre on the tip of the brush, so I can go around the contours ever so lightly and give certain angles around the contours, and also the space where the legs are folded and such, and also around the neck. I have left a space for the jewellery. Yeah, but I'm just going to blend this in. So don't leave it like that, just blend it in. Yeah, those shades. Where exactly are these shades falling? Does that have a logic? Yeah. So just look at it like a tube or something, and think the sides where the curves of the tube is. That's how we imagine the an object that isn't flat. So that's this front portion is bouncing off light, but the sides do not get enough light. So that's exactly where we are adding a bit of shades. That's exactly what we are doing. And also spaces where maybe they are right in the front, but still I am adding this color. Why? So the jewellery is also creating a shadow on the clothing. The jewellery sits on top of the clothing, so that element is creating a shadow um, mm, on the clothing. So just imagine all that as well. And if you want to use the picture as a guideline, that's also a great idea to work with. It's just that we also begin at this point to using our own imagination and thinking where exactly the light could be and such. So that's a good habit. Yeah. Even though we have taken good references and we can follow the references, there's nothing wrong about it. It's also good practice. If you make a mistake, of course, you can adjust in the next layer and work on the details even further. But use this opportunity to practice all this. Where do you think the light should fall? Such. Yeah. So that is taken care of. Right now, I want to use this white and go with a little bit of purple shadow um, to get a white that isn't similar to this white. So that's a purple shadowed white that I want to build. I have purple with me, or if you do not have purple, you can mix crimson and blue colors to get a little bit of purple. But if you look at what I have created, it's again white, and that's got a very, very tiny tinge of purple. So it's really not that purpley, if I have to put it that way. Yeah. So it's not that purpley. Okay. So that's what I'm going to use for the lotus flowers. So I fill this color first around. Real quick. So That's how it looks right now. Good. So all filled, it slightly looks different from the white there. Yeah. I want to use that purple a little more to give a kind of contour there. Mm. Just to give the shadows. Where exactly, again, the same thing. Where exactly will the shadows fall? Where do you want to show more shadows and less shadows? I think the more happens in the sides of the flower. I don't know if that is, it's a graphic design, it looks like, from the reference that we are using. I didn't think of it much, but it looks like, some of it isn't, at least the shadows, I wouldn't follow those. But it's up to you. Okay, good. So I like this kind of shadows that is coming up right now, and I'm able to create some images here. So if you see, it's slightly building on those shadows, and those shadows get slightly, more pronounced on the sides, or the petals that are on the sides. Does that make sense? At least, at this level that we haven't done much of detailing, but we're just beginning to show where could be dark, where could be light. Okay. So I'm kind of okay with this setup, and I want to do the same thing for those small little flowers there in her hands as well. So do those shading. So I'm using the same brush. What I do is that just use the corner, the tip of it, and pull it around so that gives the petal shape. And then I can also use the purple to give them a kind of, angle ever so lightly. So that's also done. Fantastic. Right now, we can work on the jewelry, and also her the tools, that is the book and the pen. Book and the pen aren't really the same, isn't it? So they are looking very different. It's book from a golden age, yeah. Palm leaf booklet. So before we get to those things, let's work on the jewelry. For that, I'm going to rely on my primary yellow. I want to look at a brush that is working for me in this. I think I have one. Yes. Brush number 3 round. That's what I'm going to take. Take primary yellow and yellow ochre to get a nice golden color that will work for the jewelry spacing. So I'm going to get started with the jewelry here on the head, filling that out. That's a crown, filling that out. There's a jewelry that we need to work on in her hairline here, but that is kind of a detail and I don't want to do it right away, so I'm just going to leave that alone, not do anything about it right now. Just work on this, and I want her to have a little bit of earring, so just putting a little bit space there for the earrings. Makes sense. And then the necklace, maybe I'll have, I don't know if I'll have another necklace or something. I want to have something on her arm to create some kind of, interest there. It's totally, the white. I just want to have something there in the arm, like an armband. And also, each and every arm should have a bangle. So I just want to create that space. Just filling in that space. That's done. Let's do the belt that she's wearing. Cool. That is done. And what else? We can use this for the palm leaf booklet also, even though the color is different. For now, I think we can use that. That is done. For the peacock feather, I think I will stick with the green. So I'm going to now focus on shading these jewelry. How do we shade this jewelry? A great idea will be to take a little bit of burnt umber to give the shadows. I'm going to use the same brush to do that. Yes. So adding burnt umber shadows on the sides, the contours of the crown. And then also around the necklace, the neckline, that there could be, kind of shadow on the clothing, on her bangles and such. I'm just going about thinking where all the shadow could fall, and I'm just creating. So it's up to you to try this on your own, but I can tell you the basic logic that I'm thinking. Okay, so if I'm wearing a bangle, the shadow of the bangle or something will fall on, right behind, or you see the creases of it inside here, the inner crease. Okay, you see that this is really dark here, So that's where I'm thinking of. So I just go around and do it like that. So that's what I'm doing. And that shadow is also done. Don't, I don't see any other spaces for now to work with. I'm happy with this and I'm ready to move on to the background. The background is going to be really interesting. What exactly should be the background? I have, because it's a lot of white here. And I was looking at a lighter background. I am thinking of a background that is still on the lighter side, but then on the, what do you call, on the yellowy side, or close to, or little over what we have done in her clothing. So that's the lighter background. Even the background, I want a couple of tonalities. The pink is going to be there definitely, and I want this lighter background to go around and create an aura or a halo around her, and then the pink can come later. That's what I imagine. So let's see how far we could get with that. So if I have to add a little more of primary yellow to what we did initially on her clothing, let's see if we get a nice color. Should be a balance of so this is the color that I'm getting. So it isn't the color of the shirt. That's how it looks. It is still on the lighter angle. So I'm just going to experiment with this. Let's see if it doesn't work. Well, I will do it again in the layer that is upcoming. So for the halo, I move my hand around like this, wrist around like this, and I kind of place my tip of my brush when I'm convinced with where I want the halo to come around. I can see that it goes around here. Yeah, I'm just placing some. That's how it looks. And yeah, I can build on this and further develop this into a proper circle, moving around. And also when I move around, look at the way the angle of the brush goes. It also goes in that circular angle to do the halo. It goes like this, and the color seems fine. It is not dull. It's not totally bright as well, and I think it is. For now, it looks good. This is going to be an interesting combination that I'm going to do. So I'm also experimenting here. And if you are wanting to experiment with another color, you could, just be aware we have a white, really white base, a lot of white here. So anything that isn't white will help. You can play around having white also if you are really wanting to have white itself as the halo. It's also possible. I would say, just like the way we added, very light yellow and yellow ochre to the dress, and also in this case we added purple. We could add another color range and create a, let's say for example, a bluey halo. Slight bluey halo will also be a good idea to work with. That's also an interesting piece to think of. If not this, I would have tried that also. So keep experimenting. So these are spaces where you could experiment and see if it works, or otherwise you can go around and change it in the upcoming layer when it dries. So I'm going for this. And I know that, the halo also touches all the contours. So I'm just going to do the contours carefully. And in this case, it will help for me to have a smaller brush because these colors are sensitive here. I'm going to move to a smaller brush also for the contours, just for the contours. Okay, I have brush number 1 or 0. Yeah, this is 0. This is 0, and I'm going to use this for the contours. Doing the contours carefully. And also remember, when we do the contours from the previous class, in my case, I was very sure that I made some mistakes in the angles of the body that I had to fix. So all those will go now. So I'll make sure that those are hidden now. Those spaces are hidden now, yeah. Yes, so that is managed. It looks like even though, even if the color is nice, I will have to go for another layer on this because this yellow is still on the transparent side and it is showing the previous pink. I could add a lot of white and play around with it and overload it and such, but I am sure that it's a good idea to do whatever I'm doing right now and leave it to see how things go and then adjust the color in the upcoming layers. So I'm just going ahead with marking the contours nicely. This side is done. Good. To the other side. Okay. I'm not doing the green of the peacock feather now because I know that this is a delicate color and it will start mixing with the green so strongly. So once I'm done with the halo, maybe it'll be the right time to work on that. Yes, the contouring is done. So the focus can shift to the rest of the places, negative spaces. So I'm just going to take the larger brush. Brush number 4 round was the one that I was using. So I'm just going with that. Filling out that rest of the space nicely in the same angle. So this color as such seems to be complementing, at least, I'm also looking at the camera where, you are looking at what you are looking at. Looks fair enough. So I'm going to go with this. Yeah. And maybe it will need one more lick of paint, one more layer, that is sure. But it is on the right track, it looks like, at least. Tell me what you think. And what kind of colors you have also experimented with in the comments. Yeah. That is good. So yes, it is kind of okay. And let me look at the circle if I have done it right. Looks fine. The circle on this side needs a bit of shaping. Okay, then it has to go slightly like this. I guess we have managed fine, and I will use the small brush to take some olive green to do this. I do not want any kind of layering yet, because with respect to the peacock feather, there's a lot to work on. Yeah, so I'm just going to give it like a leaf kind of a thing, green effect, and leave it there, and we'll work on the space in detail in the later, upcoming sessions. So with that, I'm just going to go back to fixing a little bit of her skin tonality here. On the nose. Yeah. I guess it looks fine. I'm now ready to work on the rest of the portion, which is going to be, I'm looking at I need a fresh brush. I think I will need, I'm going to go for brush number 7, GLAC, a fresh brush. And this is going to be a pink, so I'm going to take nice colors to play with. I've had a kind of magenta to try. I think I tried it last time. It came out nicely, but yeah, that's also something I could experiment with. That's the magenta. And if you don't have this color, it's okay. You can try, creating pink with the crimson as well. So I like this color when that goes along with white, lightens up a bit and goes along with white. I think that's the color that I used also in the previous coat. Looks like, at least. Let me see. Yes, not exactly the same, but similar. This looks good, and I'm going to go for this color. Yes. So it's just this magenta with a little bit of titanium white, and that's exactly what is happening here. And I think I will add a little more of this magenta. I just want it to be slightly the brighter side. Should be a balance that it doesn't, it looks bright, but it doesn't overpower as well. And it goes well with the yellow that we have done. There should be a point where we blend those two colors also. Mhm. When it comes to that, we'll do that. So I think it looks cool. I'm going to go for this color and do the rest of the side. Oh, I like it. The finish is good. Okay, cool. So one side done, and we have few more sides to go, three more sides to go. And also remember, when I mean sides, not just meaning the sides of the picture, the also the sides of the canvas, yeah. So do that as well. Remember to do that as well. Do it a nice, give it a nice finish, and all the sides of the canvas as well, yeah. I'm going to use this because we have a lotus flower here. I don't want to spoil it. I'm just going to give the contours of the um, flower, so it's easier to paint on without disturbing the white. So this has been an interesting session, isn't it? We have really played around with white to see, it's different whites that we are able to show. And we will enhance this even further when we come to the next layers. So there you go with the contours of the lotus and the contour of the hollow. So it makes things easier for us to now focus on the rest of the negative space. And also remember, the brush stroke angle has to be circular just to give the same kind of effect as the halo. Even though it's one color that we are doing, the angle matters. So it's in sync with what we have created in the center. This is so with each layer, when we also develop the background along, it also gives us opportunity to see how the background sits well in relation to the picture, and also may be able to make some changes if we think, okay, that wasn't a great decision, we should have used a different color or such. Yeah, so that's why I prefer that we do the background also alongside on the same day almost if you can. Only challenge that you might feel is that you are not able to touch the canvas. Yeah, so you want it to dry and then you want to work on it. That's also a good idea to work in parts. Slow down and work it parts if you want, because you're mixing this color with another color when you're going a little faster. But words is one thing that I would also say is that this is practice. That you're trying to do one layer at a time, but you're doing that layer in all the parts of the body of the canvas. So learning how to do wet on wet wherever needed, or learning how to balance color tonalities and so on. So there's a lot of learning out there when you decide to do all these things together. nearly there with the center, but we've got also the sides to work on. See the difference now? Right. So I'm going to work on the sides now. Moving my brush in the same angle as the circular motion on the sides as well. Okay, so this side is done, looks like. I've got two more sides to go. We're nearing completion. At this stage, what I would also suggest is that once you're done with the layer 3, take a break and give the canvas a break and also yourself a break, so you get a chance to review what you've done objectively, and you also get a chance to identify mistakes, corrections, possibilities of improvement and such. In my case, I'm very sure the face needs a little bit more of work, but I'm aware of it, and I want to grow it along with the layers. That's one thing I am keeping in mind at this point and leaving it for the upcoming layer. So, this is also a balance that you give to yourself and say, okay, which one will I attack now in this layer and which ones will I leave out for the upcoming, layers. We are at the end of the session now. We are done with our layer 3 of Vidya Lakshmi painting. So what I had mentioned is that we give it a chance to rest while we are able to assess the situation and what you want to improve and such. While we are doing that, also remember that it's a very good habit to just leave it to rest. So as much of oil is soaked in and you have and you're ready for the next layer to work, especially if you are someone who's new to this idea of working on layer on layer on layer. Otherwise, if you are clear about it, it's also good to get started with wet on wet. That is also a style of working, so you can improvise further on this, but just give it a break if you can. Yes. With that, I will make a closure to this class, and I would congratulate you for reaching this far. Let's meet up in the next session. Until then, stay blessed, stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated. See you. Bye.